Ooh, look at my, this thing is, my tripod has been acting up lately. Look at that, it's just going low. Buenos días. Bonjour. So today we are making our fish soup. And right now I'm having my fish broth working with the fish, the shrimp scales, I guess you could call them. And I cleaned the crabs, and I also have some of the shells, the crab shells in here. So that's gonna make a nice broth. Oh my goodness. Yes, okay. So first of all, I want to roast my, good morning. Inés, ¿cómo está? Buenos días. I'm going to roast my squash. I prefer them roasted. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? How are you guys doing? It is a sunny morning, which is unusual. And we haven't had rain in 2 or 3 days, which is also, well, not unusual because it doesn't really rain every single day. And people ask me, they're like, oh my God, tell me about the rainy season. I'm like, it rains, but not every day and not all day. All right, so we're making a fish soup. Good morning, Greta. I told you yesterday when I did the live what we're gonna put in our soup. Oh, okay. So I am cooking the, I'm making the broth. They call that the caldo in Espanol. They do that. They say that also in Peru. They have a lot of caldo de pollo, caldo de res, caldo de puerco. Yes, you can have all kinds of broth. And you know, usually I am a veggie broth. You know, I don't do chicken broth. Even though for the cookbook, I will have to make chicken broth and beef broth. Because like if you're making, believe it or not, if you're making French onion soup, you have to use beef broth. Which, you know, I don't get that, but. So I threw the rest of my, my spinach spine, so I put it in there. And again, remember, it's just for broth, to create flavor. I cleaned the crab this morning because, you know, it's a process. And all the gunk, I see people deep fry crab and eat. And I'm thinking, all the stuff I just took out, you mean you fry it and then you eat it? No bueno, not for me. So I usually clean my crab, take the back, the hard shell off, and then break them in half. And that's what's gonna go into my soup. Nice and clean, and it was soaking in a little bit of vinegar. Muy bueno. And I also, the shrimp that I bought, I cleaned the shrimp. You know, we get the poop line, both front and back. All right? I don't know what you're eating. Ugh. You know, I can't, I can't not clean stuff and, you know, have, I see people get the crawfish and they bring it, suck the head. I couldn't do that. Just like I can't do foie gras. I'm just weird. And when the chef used to say, well, Maggie, if you don't eat it, you don't go to pass my class. I said, well, chef, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Because I am not eating fried fat. No. No, no, boy, I said. And I still passed my class. He didn't flunk me, right? Now, the squash hasn't been pretty lately. But the one that I bought from they're like pale, and I don't like pale squash. And I walked through the market to see if somebody had one that was looking better, but they were not. And I don't like pale squash. But the one that I bought from my delivery people was very good, very nice, beautiful. But anyway, so I remember when I used to make soup jumeau at home, I used to buy the squash, but because the squash was like hit or miss in terms of their color, like this, and I would have a pack of frozen squash to put in there to kind of give us the color that we want. So we're gonna roast these and blend it and then strain it into the soup to give it. Some people just boil it, yes, but I think I like the taste of the roasted squash because, you know, I put the oil and some herbs and stuff, so you're already building flavor there. So how's everyone doing today? We doing good? Excellent. I'll tell you, this week it's been interesting. You know, it's funny how whatever is happening in the world, that life still goes on, right? My daughter had a little procedure done, a medical procedure done this week. And I called to Joanna, and she's telling me her experience at the outpatient surgery center was anything but pleasant. She felt like she was a number, you know, and I was trying really hard not to tell her, but honey, you are, because these people don't care about you. Don't go in a hospital or a doctor's office expecting to be cared for. If it happens, be grateful, but that's not the norm. But here in Panama, that is the norm. So if somebody were to have a bad experience with a doctor, she'll put it like in a WhatsApp group, because that is the exception rather than the rule. But in the US, doctors, you're just a number because they have their docket. They tell them you have to see so many patients. When I was doing my nurse practitioner training, this doctor, it was a husband and wife duo. I would just walk into their office and I said, I'm a nurse practitioner. I am looking for a place to do my clinical. And they're like, oh, okay, call here, bring this, bring that. It was like boom, boom. I was like, well, that was easy, because usually it's really a pain. The doctors just don't want the time to take the time to teach you. And I say, but somebody taught you. Somebody took the time to teach you. So what do you mean? So, but when I got there, what they did, So it was the doctor, primary care, her husband, and then I think they had one or two other physicians. And then what they do, they take people like me who want to do the training, they bring us all in free, right? Because we're not being paid. And they make us do all the prep work, like the history and physical, do the review, look at the labs, and then the doctors that they have, so they have each doctor, they would assign them 4 different people, either nurse practitioner students or medical students from other countries, and I'm not going to mention the country, to come. And of course, they also were not being paid, and the students were paying them to let them get the, the experience. And then someone said they bought a home and they would put up these students from another country, international students. The students were paying them rent, and then they worked at their clinic. I don't know if they're open on Saturdays, 5 days a week. Can you imagine that? That's free labor. And I was like, is that legal? But on that one doctor, so my doctor may have 2 or 3 people like me assigned to him. And each one of us had maybe 20, 24 patients. Times 3 per doctor. Do the math. And I'm like, it's a business. And today there is a cute little doctor. I think she's Nigerian. The Nigerian people, they're just so smart. I don't care what you say about them, but they are smart. These kids are smart. And she's a cardiologist, and she's on TikTok, and she'll do some public service announcements. She would tell us about the heart. Like the other day, she talked about how smoking weed, increases your risk of heart disease. And I remember having this conversation with a certain child of mine. Oh, but mom, I'm like, no, long term, it's not good for you, But, you get people all over their media telling it's harmless. I remember when I was, after my divorce, I told you I was on multiple those dating sites. That was then. I've grown up since. And this guy, and of course, when you're talking to someone, either phone or online, you don't even know who they are, right? And then this guy was telling me he did this, he did that, and then he was talking about how he was smoking weed for his headache. And I was like, you need to smoke weed for your headache? Don't you have other medicine you could take for your headache? And then I was on the phone with him. He said, no, but that's the only thing that works for me. And in my head, I was like, ding, ding, ding. I'm like, mm-mm. And then I went cold on the phone. He's like, hello. He said, oh, I guess my smoking a joint just tripped you. I said, you got that right. I don't want to get involved with that. And if you are a smoker, please don't come at me. This is your decision. I'm not doing it. But anyway, this beautiful girl was talking about, she's a cardiologist. She looks to be like 30 something. So I know what it takes to become a cardiologist. And she said it takes 14 years. Recently, in the last couple of years, we have had a slew of physicians walk away. And I wrote a piece one time, what did I call it? Moral, oh wow. Not moral trauma, but this is a term that I saw. And then it's like, as a medical person, as a healthcare person, moral injury, yes. That was the name of the article that I wrote, moral injury. And I remember when I posted it and somebody said, oh my God, that's what you call it. I've been trying to figure out what to call it. Moral injury is when you take a vow to do something, and then because of the environment, you are not able to do it. As a healthcare person, before we put that lab coat on, we take an oath to protect to serve. And then you start working in an environment where it's all profit driven. So now you have a battle for your soul about what you signed up for, right? What your vocation is and versus what you're able to do. So from the top, from physician to nurses to respiratory therapists, whatever position you own, the healthcare environment, and especially since COVID, is just showing you that it's anything but that. It's not about caring for patients. It's about how much money you can bring in. So we call that moral injury. Moral injury, and some people are smart enough to get to a point to say, I can't do this. And that's what this girl, I woke up this morning and that's what I was reading. She said, this poor thing was in tears. It is a very heart-wrenching thing for you to leave a profession that you strive for it, you dreamed about it, you work hard, you accumulated debt, and then you get in and you're like, oh my God, I'm a workhorse, I'm just a number, I don't have the time to talk to my patient, to take care of them, and then you go home exhausted, not just physically, but you feel like a failure up here because you could not deliver the care that you know that patient needs. You know this patient needed for you to spend a few minutes talking to them. But because you look at your number and it's like boom, 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 you got to meet that quota, you can't. And that's called moral injury. And that poor girl is saying that I've done it, and she's like, I realized in the environment, I can't practice the way that I want. I've heard that so many times. Nurse, talk about nurse burnout, and then people are like, it's not just nurses, the doctors are burning out. And that's also another reason that sometimes a lot of anesthesiologists become addicts because they're around all these drugs, and not only because they make them work 40, 72 hours with no sleep, and these are the doctors prescribing things for you, okay? Yeah. And they just mentally, they just can't do it. And why people think that you can take a young person because they're smart and dedicated, that you could just put them through all of that and they're not going to break at one point? It's madness. It's madness. So a lot of people are leaving. And we talk about the black women and all that. Think about the professions too. Yep. When we take everything to the max and we frame everything with dollar signs. And I think she said something today and somebody repeated it. She said, the practice takes your, I forgot what she said. It's like the fact that she's a caring person, they take advantage of that, right? And they say, oh yeah, well, she won't mind. Yeah, let's put her on call for like a month, or things like that. They take your kindness for granted and they just run you to the ground. And when I had COVID, I told you, and then, nurses have always struggled with, overwork and fatigue. But the moral injury kind of put it in context for them to say, not only are you losing your family, your kids don't see you, you're stressed out, you're sick, but your soul, your soul is injured. Oh my God. I don't know how I got on this today, even though I didn't have a topic, but this is, now, I'm retired, so I'm over that. But if there is somebody who is in that situation, whether you're a nurse or doctor, whatever work you're doing, but if you know that your work involves caring for people, touching people, but you're not able to do any of that because of the way the work is designed, it's just task and task and task and task, and you just so consumed, you're not going to last. You're going to crash and burn, and you're going to be a very sad, worn out, mentally worn out human being. So So I try not to comment on social media because, like I said, once you make a comment, it stays there at perpetuity, right? And everybody can see it. So, but I sent her an encouraging note, and I'm like, sis, you are saving yourself. To be able to realize what's happening to you with this profession and how, you know, she already wrote 2 books, so she's an author, she could do presentations, she could do speeches, she could, you know, she could try to save other doctors. You know, suicide rates among doctors is quite high. Yeah. Yeah. And I believe that moral injury has a lot to do with it. That a doctor cannot practice the things the way that he wants to. That people become numbers, or they see people as subjects for their research studies. Because when you're a doctor and you want to go into academia, you have to publish so many articles. It's a standard. So in addition to your workload, you got to find time to write articles, to do research. And you think that a human being can practice like that and something is not going to break? Yeah. They get into using, you know, illegal drugs. They take things so they can. How do you let a human being work 48 hours straight? That is not sustainable. That is not sustainable. And that's what they do to those poor interns and residents. Oh my God. I don't know. And that's why I say that. I say sometimes I want to give up on the human race. But then I have to, when I see somebody do something kind, I kind of pull myself back from the brink and say, no, I can't give up. All right, do you see my broth? This is all my shrimp shells from the last time I cooked shrimp. And then this morning, I cleaned the crab and I used, you know, I kind of cleaned some of the gunk out, but I put some of the shells in here. So what that's gonna do is gonna give me a broth that is really, really flavorful. So when I'm ready to put the broth in, I'm just gonna strain it into the my pot. All right. So I kind of skim that foamy stuff, which is really nasty looking, and but I think that was a nice little intro. So what we're gonna do now, I have my shrimp clean, my crabs are clean, potato, sweet potato, yes, carrots, I didn't buy celery. I don't know, celery, I'm not crazy about celery, apio, but it's good for blood pressure. I probably should eat more of it. And it is really beautiful here. All right, so we got cilantro I bought yesterday. See, and carrots. Ooh. You know, I almost forgot my fish. I put it in the fridge. I almost forgot my fish. I have some spinach, carrots, and broccoli. Yeah, and this is one of those soups you don't want to overcrowd it, right? It's not a stew. So you have to make sure you have enough broth going, okay? A stew is thicker, but a soup should be a little bit thinner. Keep that in mind. So, some tomatoes. I don't think I'll need all of it. But now let's just, oh, look, I want to touch. I'm going to mess up my board. All right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a smaller board to cut my fish, you know, rinse it a little vinegar, and that's it. See? I don't want my whole board to be messed up. Yes, you gotta think. Think. Okay. But I will have to wash my knife, which is okay. Now this is the fish we're gonna use, and it is tuna. When I went to the place yesterday, they didn't have corvina. The corvina was whole. I was gonna have to wait to have to pay somebody to clean it, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. Because I went to the market yesterday. Oh, it's got like a line in between. Look at that. Never seen that before. So we're gonna have cubes of our fish. I probably won't use all of it. I'm gonna freeze the rest of it. I don't think I need that part. Because I'm trying to reduce my calories for the next few days. And then we have shrimp, we have crab. Yeah, I think that should be good. So I'm going to should I not? Yeah, that's good, because I'm going to lunch with the sister today, so I don't need a lot of food. I cooked ratatouille this past week, and I've been eating that, and never knew love like this before. I have to wash my hand before I touch the foil. I'm a little anal. Alright, so we're gonna put that, I'm gonna save it. Yep. And I bought 2 pounds of crab, so I have some crabs left over. I'm gonna make another soup. Ooh, I love crabs, and I can put crab in my legume, which is what I make with. I have an oxtail in there. I was supposed to cook it for a sister, and we couldn't get our times together. And she's like, "No, I'm going here." I'm like, "Okay." She said, "Maybe another time." I'm like, "I don't know. The oxtail's gonna last." Alright. Okie dokie. And on the fish, I finally was able to get a big gallon of vinegar because I used so much of it. And I carried that in my backpack. Well, that was a bit heavy. Alright. Okay. Alrighty. So now we are going to get our vegetables ready. Camote, which is a sweet potato. I'll show you what the sweet potato here looks like. It doesn't look like, oh, this one is yellow. Usually they're not. Hey, we're making progress. Usually they're white. Where did I get this one? Oh, I got this one at San Felipe. Okay. So maybe San Felipe has different Kamote. And sweet potato is actually good for you. Regular potato is not bad. It's just starchy for me. But it's good. It's got all kind of good antioxidants. And I love roasted sweet potatoes. I do. I could have used my peeler. But I tell you, I've told my kids, I say, find something that you enjoy doing and go in that work space. Because with everything that is happening, so now we got to think about our soup. We think of our shrimp size about this much, so everything we put in there should be about that size. So that's why you always have to, you are an architect. Okay? So we don't want too small dices, like this. And we know that these are going to cook fast. And we got to think of when we put them in, because we don't want anything to overcook, right? So you're keeping in mind the size. All right. They don't have to be straight. Your cut doesn't have to be squared, right? That's not the goal. I'm not going to use all of that in the soup though. So I'll leave some and I'll roast some for the rest of the week. But now the regular potato, I'm going to have to put it in like a little bath with some water, because otherwise it's going to oxidize and get brown on you, and you don't want that. You love crab. Yes. Now, like I said, not the regular big size crabs, but the little ones, sometimes. It's not like every day. Like when I used to go to my place in Orlando, every time I went, they had a bushel. It was a big box, and they would still be moving. It would always be funny when somebody tried to pick them up and they, tried to bite you. But here, it's like sometimes you find. Panama has some staple items in terms of food that you're always going to find. Like if you go to the market, you're going to find corn, you're going to find broccoli, culantro, because that's their favorite herb, potatoes, carrots, some of that stuff. And some other stuff you may not find. Believe it or not, squash is very, very popular there, and you're always going to find them. I've even started to see a lot more butternut squash, which is good, right? Because some of you like butternut. I'm not too crazy about it. I prefer calabaza because I'm Caribbean, I guess. All right. Gonna do the same thing with the potatoes. You don't want them to overcook. I think they can go in together. But I've seen the big, is it indigenous crab, the big old ones? And something they have a lot here is a seafood mix. And it would have calamari, it would have shrimp and oysters and all of that. And octopus, they love octopus, okay? That is, I guess they find it a lot in the waters. But what we don't see, fresh salmon is not the salmon that you know. This guy told me one time, he said, hey, there's salmon. And I said, okay, let me buy one and try it. It wasn't like your, not fresh water. They import salmon, and it comes, vacuum packed and all that. In fact, I found out this place, they do salmon and cod, two very rare type of fish here. But of course it's frozen and they'll deliver it to you. And the fish that's delivered is pretty expensive. So I'm like, nah, don't need it. You are my sunlight in my face. Oops. One pot. In my life. Alright. So we got stuff ready. I did not buy peppers because when she told me almost $4 per pound, and I'm like, no, I don't need it. Carrots. Can't have soup without carrots. And this is why the carrot that I bought from that lady, they were babies. I'm like, I don't like small carrots like that. So I wasn't happy about that. But so we have fresh thyme, we have bay leaves, we have cilantro. So we are good. Cause I never really loved like this before. Open my eyes, cause I never. Oh, I used to love listening to her. You love like this. I remember Wizard of Oz. Alright, so we're gonna do our carrots, not too small, in keeping with the size thing. I think that 2 of them is plenty. Alright, so we'll leave that here, put them in. So our greens are going to come from the spinach at the end and some broccoli. Yes, you guys doing okay? Alright, we can start. I'm gonna get my beautiful Dutch oven. I wanted to bake some bread, but I was like, then it's gonna stay here and I'm gonna eat it. And Bread and I, we were commiserating about the fresh bread here that is so dangerous to our health. Alright, yesterday I cleaned my fridge. I always feel so good after I wipe it down and I can see things. I have some jalapeno. They're looking a little bit stressed. But I'm going to cut one into my soup today. I like them fresh, but these look a little tired. And this is my hot pepper, so we're going to put one whole one. Next week, not this coming week, the following week, I'm going to have our party here, our monthly Fridays at Maggie's. And I gave them a choice. I was going to do Italian because I still have some ground beef from when we did burgers. And I'm like, I can do a lasagna, I'll do a vegetable lasagna because we do have some vegetarian in the group. And I said I would make garlic toast. It had a green salad. Kind of pretend that you're going to eat at what is that place that where you know you eat Italian food with the bread and breadstick. And then I said the second choice. I said we can go Caribbean too. I could do jerk chicken, and I could do rice and peas, and I could do cabbage. They all want Caribbean. So that's how we're doing next week. I'm like, what is going on? Nobody. Oh, we did have 2 people who voted for the Italian, but the overwhelming majority. I was like, oh, okay. All right, so we start with onions and garlic. What is this doing in here? As always, and this lady is talking about the onion peel that we need to do all kinds of stuff with it. And I remember my mother used to make tea out of the garlic. What do you call that? Shelling, covering? Yes. So she's like, you're missing out because the best part is in the skin. You know, my mother and grandmother, they're all coming back talking to me. And I did save some of the shelling, the shell, but I haven't made anything out of them. So, all right. The garlic, I always have fresh garlic. But you know what you could do also with garlic? You can put it in the oven with olive oil, salt, pepper, and let it cook down, and then you make a paste out of it. And you use that if you have like crostinis, you know, like little crackers or little toast that you make with your bread. Really, really good. But because I'm not doing bread, I can enjoy that. Oh my gosh. This is so sad. I am sad that I cannot eat bread like I used to. I used to eat a lot of bread. My father was a baker, listen. Yes. Fresh bread with a little bit of peanut butter or with your coffee. You can tell me nothing. When you said jerk chicken, then cabbage, don't you? I know. That's what they said. I said cabbage and jerk chicken, and of course I got to put some plantains in there. And they're like, nope, that's what we want. I'm like, oh. And then I'm going to show you guys how I make my jerk seasoning. I make my own seasoning. I don't buy it from the bottle. You knew that was coming, right? And then in the jerk seasoning, a lot of it is, you could do like a dry rub. You could do just the dry. But if you're going to do the seasoning with all the green onions and all that and the hot peppers, but the brown that you want, you're using a lot of soy sauce for that. But the recipe, classic recipe, calls for brown liquid. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what's in it. Not going in my food. Nope. So we're going to jerk it the natural way. All right? So I don't want to hear any complaints. Oh, but it's not brown, like, But, you know, the best jerk chicken, someone said, I heard this Jamaican Ras, whatever they call these folks, talk about the best way to do it is when you cook it on the fire. They season it and they put it on the fire. There is a certain type of wood that they put on the fire. And good morning, Gertha. Hey, I haven't seen you, sis. And that is what really gives you that good jerk flavor. I'm trying to go to Jamaica with one of our sis here. She said she was in Jamaica. She's from England. And I said, oh, I would love to go, but I want to go with someone. She said, I'd love to show you. And then she said she's going to be back there in November. So we're going to try to coordinate. And I'm going to go with her, Lord willing. And because certain countries, I don't want to go by myself. I am a solo traveler, but I hear too many things. When I went to the Bahamas with my friend years ago, we went with a friend who was from there. So when she went there, her brother had a big old SUV. She took us around. Oh, that was the best. We didn't stay with them. We stayed at what is now Airbnb. In the old days, it was just a rental. Vacation rental. Remember? Vacation rental. That's what they used to call it. And oh, we had the best time. It was during Carnival. Oh my God, it was really nice. So I am hoping I can go with my sis and we can enjoy. I'd like to do the same for Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to go by myself. I see and read too many crazy stuff. But I don't know any Trinidadian. I was following a woman for a little while. She said she was a retired RN and she was now a farmer. She was harvesting chickpeas. Oh my God, and I was so excited because initially that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to interview women who are bucking the trends and doing wonderful things after retirement. I am very attracted to that. All right, now let's season this fish just for a little bit. Little salt and pepper, and I always put a little bit of oil. I'm not gonna put any acid in the fish because it starts cooking it if you do that. But we are doing a little adobo. So girls, this is gonna be like a variation of sooooo. So don't comment. This is just a basic fish soup. I just decided to put the squash in it for color, but it's not a sooooo. Okay, so don't get upset. Yes, bread and butter is my bad habit. Oh, you too, sis? I know. I try, but I haven't won that battle yet. I'm gonna do the same with the shrimp. Yes. And the reason I'm doing it now is because your shrimp and your fish, I don't know, I keep saying that. They do not need to be marinated like your chicken for a long time. They don't. Okay? I'm gonna put the fish first because, oh, maybe I can do this, and I'll take the shrimp out because I think the fish is gonna take a little longer because it was thicker. You know, you're a scientist. You gotta think. Timing. Oh, you know what I did yesterday? Right here, I have paprika and I have cinnamon. I was doing my smoothie. Guess what went into the smoothie? Paprika. And I had to say, oh well, it's red pepper. It's not that bad. First, I put the pineapple juice in the marinara. Then I put paprika in my smoothie. Oh, Maggie, you are a lost cause. All right. Extra virgin olive oil. People talk about pricing, and I watch a couple. They are retiring in France, and they needed some paperwork. They had to come back, and you should have heard them. Oh my God, everything is so expensive. We're like, well, yeah, we told you. They are just flabbergasted as to how expensive things have gotten. All right, guys. I always have to watch this pan because it heats up so fast that it will burn things. if I'm not paying attention. Alright, put the garlic. And you know what's gonna go into this soup? Some white wine. Oh yeah. Seafood and white wine, very good combination. I love cooking with wine. And I still wanna make coq au vin for you ladies. We did chicken française last week. We'll do coq au vin one day, which is chicken and wine sauce with mushroom. But the mushroom yesterday, there was a little pack. I said, how much is that? 7. I'm like, oh my God. And you know, I just refuse to be paying a bunch of money for things. I just go to the next. Vámonos. Alright, let's see if I have everything. Yeah, I can start plucking some of that spinach. I was talking to a friend yesterday. She's like, the spinach is different. I said, yes, it is. A lot of things are different. Relax, sis. Alright, let me wash the tomatoes. Remember, soap and water, you scrub the skin of the potatoes. But they spray stuff. And we don't want any of that. Once the onion become what we call translucent. This is what translucent means, you know, kind of clear and shiny. I hear you. I have been very busy lately. I had no time to watch your videos, but I'll be coming to Panama for good enough. Oh my God, Gertha, that's wonderful. All right, and now we do the garlic. I can only imagine how busy you were. I remember that process. The selling and watching them walk away with your stuff, ooh, that was really emotional for me. It wasn't the, you know, the leaving. It was watching things that I spent years collecting. You know, when I bought my house, my last house in 2013 or something, I spent time putting my stamp on it. I loved the layout. It was very like this. It wasn't flat or anything. I loved that. And when you know, I remember buying the dining room table online, buying my couch from California. I mean, I had a beautiful reddish couch, a sectional. I mean, that stuff looked handsome, beautiful. And I spent time getting the, you know, the pictures, the art, and then to watch someone come in a truck and walk away with it, ooh, that was hard. That was hard. And the last thing when they came and they took my bed, my beautiful California king bed with the thick, what do you call that? Mattress topper. Oh my God. And for the last 2 weeks, I ended up sleeping in my closet because the bed was gone. Woo! That was no bueno. That was hard. So when you pack up your stuff and you move, it takes a toll. It takes a toll. Okay? So don't let anybody tell you that, oh well, it's not going to affect you. It will. Okay? So we're going to turn this and then we're going to put them back. Let's see. Alright, let's put that in here. Check the squash. Woo. Woo. I'm getting my steam for my face. All right. Now see, this one does the shrimp much better than the cast iron. I gotta remember that. Because when the shrimp started getting rid of its fluid, it just would not pink up. And I was like, it's supposed to be pink. So you kind of have to remember which dish is good for what. So now I am in the hunt for a nice skillet. And I'm having a time. Hola, M. Thomas. Yeah, I'm having a time because it is not, you can't find good quality. When I tell people the struggle that we get for certain things, it's real. Alright, we're going to take the shrimp out because it shouldn't take more than like 2 minutes on each side. And we're going to put the fish, cook it, deglaze with the wine, and then add our veggies. Get you one of these things if you use tomatoes. To core your tomatoes. Find those at Walmart. Alright. Easy peasy. That's how we get gadgets. We collect gadgets. We do. Alright. Oops, the bottom is starting to get dark. That's a no bueno. Remember, I have to keep an eye on this, the bottom of this pan. Alright. Now let's put the fish in. Yeah, 5-10 minutes for fish, no more than that. The crab, I don't have to do that for the crab. See, I'm deglazing the bottom of this because I don't want it to stick and start to burn. That's it, no bueno. And then I can put a little bit of my stock in here if I need to. Remember, this is the stock from the shell, the shrimp shells. Now, I'm not looking for color in the fish. Nope, not with the fish. So I'm going to turn the heat and cover it so it can cook a little faster. And then as soon as I put a fork through it, that it is soft, because it's tuna. Tuna is not going to take long. The corvina would have taken a little bit longer. But so, let me get a cup of coffee. We can chat. Do you guys have any question? What is the name of the best skillet? Oh, Lord. You know they have different, you mean brand? You know where I used to get my skillet? At IKEA. IKEA had a really good selection. What you're looking for in a skillet is that it's heavy but not too heavy. Now, there are all kinds of things going around in terms of the coating of the inside, because you want to protect whatever the protection, the Teflon or whatever it is. That's why you don't use scrubbing, pad, and you don't scrub it, because when you scrub it, you're ingesting whatever that top coating was. But I don't have a brand. I know Le Creuset has, but you have to buy the whole set. They have different chefs. I bought this knife when I went back home. Time and Table. This is a good brand. So if they made a skillet, it probably would be good. Like, I like Japanese knife sets. So if you ever find one online, that's probably a good brand. But they don't make skillets. I think Le Chef. I really don't know. I just go by quality, by how it feels when So I went to different stores, and last week I went to a store called Discovery, and that's the store that had the best one. So I said I have to go back. I know what you mean. I had to do the same after living for more than 30 years. It took me 1 year. Yes, it will take you a year and a half. Please hit the like button, guys, por favor. I'm slowly getting to that 20,000K. It's been hard. But and like I said, I am not going to stress over it. I'm snacking on the shrimp. Cooties, it's good. I'm just silly. I know. That tastes so good. All right. I'm making a cup of coffee while I'm talking to you guys. I'm just too lazy to brew coffee, so I just use instant. And I use Duran. Gertha, you coming here. You may want to bring, if you want to bring coffee, you don't have to. We got really good coffee here in Panama. Hit the like button, guys. And this is my favorite brand, Duran. Now, there are other brands that are really just as good, but Duran is the only one that has the instant version. And because I am so lazy, and I'm like, I gotta put it in the filter. Then I gotta clean it. It's too much. And I did buy the Duran again to drip, and now the rest of it is here. And my brother, when he came, he's like, "Where's your coffee maker?" He's the one that got the French press because his wife is French. And I'm like, "You're in the wrong household, bro." Anything that's difficult, I don't do anymore. No. Let me show you. This sister left, and she brought me a pack of all the stuff that she had left. I'm like, girl, what is all this? But I tried this brand, Café Sello Rojo. It was amazing, okay? And there's another good brand that's called Palo Alto. It's in this bright orange, a package. It's really good. And the reason I got not hooked up, I like it. I went to Albrook Mall, and they have a little place called La Crêperie where you can buy crepes. And then one day I was really hot. I said, let me have an iced coffee. I don't usually have iced coffee. It was so good. And I kept looking to see what brand they use, and it was Palo Alto, so that's good. So Sello Rojo, Palo Alto, Duran. You don't need to bring Bustelo over here. No. And we don't need to go to Cuban or Colombian coffee. We got our own. Panamanian. Yes. So, I'm a Duran kind of girl. And someone told me this is the oldest Panamanian brand since like 1900 something. So it is tried and true. And also, I'll tell you, you know, I'm Caribbean. When I drink my coffee, I have to put a little bit of evaporated milk in it. Okay. Oh, instant cappuccino. Okay. Awesome. Ay. ¿Qué pasó, papi? Can close that. Yes. So I try very hard not to eat it, not to drink coffee every day, for the reason that I have to put a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of that's my only vice. Oh, and the bread. Yeah, and the bread. And the bread. Oh my God. Ooh. So, like maybe 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. Yep, that's it. And then, if you're a carnation person, this is just as good. This is just as good. Okay? So, I do that, and I put a little bit of this in my smoothies as well with the coconut milk, and I'm good. But you know, I don't eat beef, I don't eat grease, I don't eat anything like that, and this is how I open my because I need to. I do have the opener, but then the opener is too big and it brings a lot of it out. Yep, that's it. And eso. That's it. All right. I believe our fish should be done. All right. That's good. All right, let's bring it down for you guys again. All right. So now I'm gonna put my fork in it. Oh yeah. So you don't want the fish to be overcooked, right? Because you don't want it to fall apart in the fish. In the soup. When you put your piece of, ooh, what was that? When you put your fish in your soup, it should hold itself, all right? So these we are going to add towards the end. So I'm gonna get my cup. I'm gonna throw the crab in there, because I don't have anything in this soup that's gonna take a long time to cook. So I can't throw the crab in there and deglaze with the crab. Ooh, that's gonna be so good. The oven beat for the okay, I'm gonna leave it in here, but the oven is off. Alright, now the crab goes. I don't need to season the crab, not necessary. See how pretty and clean they look? Well, look at that, my tripod just went down, but I think it looks good right there, if you guys can see. Oh, now we need to come up. But I need a new tripod. This one is falling over. Okay, now I'm gonna throw my carrots in there. But the carrot is probably the one that's gonna take the longest to cook. We're gonna season and then deglaze. Then I'll make a bouquet garni. And adobo. Cumin, I love cumin. And paprika, not cinnamon. Oh my God, now, if I put cinnamon in something that's supposed to be paprika, that would be it. Oh my, that was so funny. All right, gotta turn this down a bit. We're gonna deglaze with the wine. It's not my Riesling. I think this one is it's a Vino Verde. I don't know what that is. Woo! The smell. Deglaze also means you're scrubbing the bottom to get all the flavor out of here. Do not forget to do that. Okay? And let's put some oregano in here. Oregano. I told you all of a sudden they're saying it's a power herb. I'm like, you know how long we've been using oregano? Now you're telling us? Stop it. All right. This is some red pepper flakes. You don't need to do that if you don't like a little heat. And I'm gonna put my whole Scotch bonnet in here too. And I'm gonna get my bouquet garni, because as soon as I do that, I'm gonna bring in the broth. All right. And of course, I'm looking at the amount of seafood I have. That's gonna tell me how much liquid I'm gonna need, right? Okay. Oh, so good. Now you see all the wine has already evaporated. And that's what you want. You want that to infuse. Those crabs are gonna be yummy. Yep. All right. Now the tomatoes are gonna go kind of halfway, because you don't want, I don't know what you're cooking because I just came in. We're making a fish soup. Fish soup. All right, so now what I need to do also is to get so I don't forget, I'm gonna put that in the blender. I'm not gonna put all of it. I'm gonna leave some of it in the soup. I'm gonna add them like towards the end. Big pieces. You see the bottom? Yum. But when you talk about squash, this one was not the best. And I told you, I don't like them looking like this. But that's the best I could find. But the one that I got from my delivery service was really good. It's a tripod moving again. Oh my. Okay. It's time to get a new one. All right. So these, I'm going to leave them and throw them in the soup towards the end. All right. tripod issues today. The tripod wants to just go down. All right, let's just blend this real quick. All right, so now we're going to put the broth in. This is not a good time for this thing to start acting up. Get a strainer. This is the shell. The shrimp shell. We made a broth out of it. She sells. Yes. What happened? All right. Ooh. You know I have to always do that with this burner. Okay. So, and then now we're going to strain our squash in here. No, I guess some of you didn't think you could use squash like this, huh? Yep, that's how we make our soup jumeau. And like I said, some people just boil it and then smash it. But some of us use the blender. It's gonna give you that nice orangey color. And again, this squash was not the best. All right, and it also acts like a thickener. That's why sometimes when people are making soup jumeau, sometimes the soup comes out a bit too thick. And you're like, It shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't have to cut it with a spoon. Alright. So now what I usually do, I just cover it to bring it to a boil quickly before I start adding. So this is gonna give us a lot of broth because this is a soup. Again, it's not a stew. But fishy taste, we got this. Alright, let's put the lid on. And we're going to get the rest of our stuff together. Cut out tomatoes. Now, some traditional fish soups could be, you could put cream in it, right, to make it like a chowder. Or you could make it red. Some people add tomato paste. I did not want mine to be red. Because I'm Caribbean, I wanted it to be orange. All right? And having some tomatoes in your soup is always a good idea. But remember that tomatoes, you don't have to go easy if you have arthritis. It tends to exacerbate your arthritis. I remember hearing that. Somebody said that. I was like, really? Boy. Oh, we forgot the bouquet garni. Okay, let's get the bouquet going. Look at that. I bought this yesterday. You see, when I tell you that cilantro doesn't last here, if you buy it, you better make sure you use it fast. Look at that. Oh, wow. They don't last long. So we need that. We need some bay leaves and then some fresh thyme. Well, finally going through my bay leaves. It was a whole bag. Laurel. Hoja de Laurel. They did not change the name. Well, they did, because it's usually bay leaves, so we call it laurel. All right, where's my thyme? This one looks dry. My other one was dry. The other one dry thyme. Bay leaves, cilantro or parsley, and then we're going to tie it together and throw it in there. One of the bay leaves slipped out. I'm just going to throw it in there. All right, so no more. I need 2 tomatoes. I'm going to save the rest. I got 2 apples here. I got to figure out. You know what I used to cook when I was eating meat? I would buy pork chops and I would cut them in the middle and cook some apples and put it in there. Was so good. LOL, fiance and I plan to move to Panama in the next couple of years. Hey, I'm in the city. I'm in Panama City. And you know, this lady said, I moved from Panama City from where I am to another area, and she said, peace and quiet. Where I am is really loud. Now they have hot rods. They usually have had hot rods on Thursdays, but now it's like all weekend long. Yeah, it gets a little much. But then you're like, this is how we get our spinach, you guys. You see the stem? You veterans, lots of veterans here. In fact, I find that Panama is really nicer to veterans than the rest of us. Yeah, we get the pensionario visa. We can't complain. But they are very in tune with veteran services, all the healthcare services. This guy has a channel. He's a very young vet. And he said he had something with his knee. So he went in, they took his insurance. He said he didn't have to pay a thing. They bill, whereas we seniors, we don't have that. We struggle because they don't, our insurance and their insurance don't work so well, and a lot of us end up having to pay out of pocket and then fight with the insurance. So if you're a vet, you're way ahead of us in Panama. If you're an older person coming to Panama, the healthcare situation is difficult, or you're gonna pay, right? Because they don't take Medicare, and you can hardly find any insurance coverage unless you're rich and you're willing to pay $1,500 a month to get coverage, international plan. Or the only thing you're left with is some insurance company said, yep, we will treat you after you give your credit card. We bill you $7,000, $8,000, whatever it costs, and then we'll help give you the bill, the claim, and you submit it to your insurance company and then fight it out. So that part of it is a no bueno. I've heard people say in Colombia, once you get your residency, now people will tell you, oh, they care. Yes, the physicians are amazing. They take care of you. They spend time with you. And if you go to see a physician, you're paying. There is no insurance that's going to cover your physician visit, right? Unless you got one of those, they have two, they call them discount plan. They might give you a discount, but it's not like, you know, you have a deductible and then you go to see the doctor for free. As another person, okay? So that's what I'm saying. People give all kind of information. You're paying for a doctor's visit. You're paying for your tests, your mammograms, your whatever. Sometimes they run specials for mammogram, like for breast cancer awareness month in October. And, but you go into those hospitals, tarjeta, that's what they ask you for, your credit card. They bill, they pay it because they started trying to bill the insurance companies, and then they find that the shenanigans they play with us, oh, you didn't bring me this, and they drag it out for months. They don't do that here. And I watched this guy talking about Mexico, same thing. You pay. You in the hospital, before you discharge, before you leave, the credit card machine is there, you pay. Whatever you need done, you pay if you don't have any coverage. But the veterans have it a lot better because they have good relationship between whatever TRICARE or other FMP that they have. We don't have that. Yes. Yes, if you vet, you have it made. But if you're less than 65, you probably can get some coverage here. And I tell people, before you hit 65, whatever plan you can get locked in. Because here, after 75, nobody's gonna touch you. And certain, like if you've had cancer, they're big on pre-existing condition. No one's gonna give you coverage as a Panamanian insurance company. But you can go to Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, you know, a lot of those. And, you know, they quote you based on your age, right? So if you're less than 65, you can get some insurance. You're gonna pay. It's gonna cost you like 300 plus a month. So don't come here thinking that, you know, when they tell you the care is beautiful, excellent, okay. You get your lab work, you pay. Now granted, someone like me, I walk into a lab and I said, I want this, right? You can go to a doctor and there's a doctor here, he's got his own lab. He's gonna do the lab for you, but you're gonna pay. I'm talking 200 plus, okay? So just know that cash is king here. And I tell people too that there is no law that says if you can't pay that they have to take care of you. Keep that in mind. There is no indigent care here. Panama does have one of the best healthcare. As I said, the physicians are great. They are great facilities. If you can pay, or if you have a plan that covers you, yes. Now, you know, over there we pay and we get crummy care. That's different. The physicians care for you. They're very caring. But prepare to pay if you're older and you're not covered under one of those veteran plans. So when you tell people Panama has one of the best healthcare, you got to explain what you mean. Is it in terms of cost or is it the quality of the services? Yeah, the quality is great. Some of the facilities look just as good as, you know, any fancy place, but who pays for it? The other option is we have a public system. As an expat, they don't say, oh, you can't come in. Oh yeah, you can go in, but there's a long wait. And it's not to the same standard in terms of aesthetic. You know, they have wards where you go in a room, there are multiple people in that room. And if you're in a private room, you don't pay for it. But it is a lot cheaper in the public system. People having surgeries for like hundreds instead of thousands, yes. And the good thing about the system is that the physicians you see in the private hospitals have to rotate to the public hospital. That is the law. So you don't have a change in terms of the quality of the providers. That's very good to know, right? So you don't get, you know, a doctor who's not skilled in the public system. No. But you end up waiting, and then, like I said, the sister said, you got to be ready for the public system. You know, bring your sheets and your, your pillowcases. I saw that in Africa, so that doesn't surprise me. But I just don't want people to keep telling folks that everything is beautiful and it's cheap and it's free, because it's not. That would be disingenuous. Don't tell people that. They started for a very short time, and I know Jackie, one of the people who've been here forever, she tried really hard to get the hospitals to allow us to not having to prepay. Because listen, you go to a private hospital and you can have a Medicare Advantage, right? And if you go to Pacifica Salute, for example, and they say, yeah, we're going to call your insurance and get authorization. But if it's an emergency, they don't have time to do that, right? You don't want to die there while they're doing. And they say, well, in the meantime, for us to begin care for you, where's your credit card? And one other thing I tell people is that when you come here as a senior, make sure you have 1 or 2 credit cards with a good limit on it, so that when you go then you can get care. They're not obligated to take care of you. And if you get to a situation, you go to a hospital Now this happened to her sister. I mean, she wasn't part of my group, but she was having a stroke. And they took her to hospital mini-med. Everybody's going to mini-med, mini-med, mini-med. Well, I don't think she was part of their plan. And then they say, well, you need to be in the ICU. But in order for us to admit you there, we need you to give us a deposit of $3,000. Before they care for you, they want to make sure that their services are going to be for free. And they ask her if, she could do it. She's like, I don't think my credit card has that limit on it. They said, well, then we're going to send you to the public hospital. And that's what they did. They called an ambulance and transferred her. This is not the way you think about it if you're coming from the U.S. The U.S., they feel like even if you're indigent, they have to give you some Tylenol or whatever. They don't have to do that here. I know, it's different. And this guy yesterday was talking about care in Mexico. And it sounds like it's about the same. Nobody's obligated to care for you if you can pay. And even if you go to the private system, I remember going there with a sister she was in a bed in the emergency room, but she needed to pay to get her IV put in, to get her lab work done or whatever. So one of us had to go in there, get her credit card, go to the caja, meaning cashier, pay. They give us the list of things, all the labs and everything. I took the credit card, go to the cashier, to the caja, pay, and they put their stamp, then they put the ID in. So don't come here with stars in your eyes thinking that everything is hunky-dory. No, this is a business. All right? So they're not obligated to care for you. Yes, if you're a vet, you're good. The rest of us, we gotta fight. But there are two, there's mini-med. If you're part of their plan, they will see you in an emergency. But again, there were one of the places that were billing. They had started to bill Medicare Advantage. Remember, not just Medicare. And what was I talking about? Yes, the sister. I told you about the sister already when she went. Yes, if you have mini-med, they will. If you have a cold, they'll take care of you. You needed to have an X-ray. Yes, but if it's something beyond that, if you need to be admitted or whatever, you have got to have some coverage. And as a medical person and a business owner, I can't blame them for that because they're in business. I'm putting the sweet potato in. They're in business. This is not a charity, right? So it was like, how are you going to pay for this? This is not a charity. We need to know how we're going to get paid. And if we don't have a guarantee how we're going to get paid, do you have a friend who can come and bring a credit card or whatever? It's a business. Do not think that there is free care here. Nope. You can go to the private hospital and sit in that room full of people and wait your turn. They will see you. And yes, this is the thing I see people put in those videos a lot. Oh, I went to the doctor, it was $350. Yes, if you're in the Cherokee area, outside of the city, you can go see a doctor for like $350. But it's in the public system, not the private system. Okay? So please do not give people false hope and giving raw information. Ask people who are here, who have experienced this system, and they'll tell you. Veterans have it made here in Panama in terms of healthcare. The rest of us, not so much. We struggle. The struggle is real. and you choose to come. So now in our group, people talk about, well, what about long-term care? Well, there's no free long-term care, that's for sure. If you go to, they have several facilities, you know, if you think nursing home, assisted living kind of thing, which is something that I personally don't want to even entertain because I don't want that. But I'm sure the one that I toured, one of them, that was kind of look a little bit like what we might be used to in the States. I mean, they were like in the $2,000 up to $5,000 a month. So let me tell you one thing that one Panamanian told us. She said, I think it's great that all of you want to come to Panama and to age in Panama. But she said, I know that most of you are going to have to return. If you get something serious enough. What about Minimed? I bet they have $40 per month plan. Those are the insurance plan. They have a, Minimed has a expat program. It is $200 some a year. You can go and get outpatient visits. You know, if you have a cold, you got the flu, or something is wrong, they will do assessment for you in an outpatient clinic. And if you need labs, some people who wanted to, you know, like a follow-up, if you're diabetic and you want your regular labs, yes. It's a discount plan, then you get things at a discount. And I think if you go see the doctor for a sniffle or whatever, I don't think they charge you. But it's not insurance. It's not like being admitted. Sis, if anybody told you that you could get insurance for $40 a month, would you believe that? Would you believe that? Come on. No. It's not insurance, okay? So, all right, I'm putting some turmeric in my soup because I think I want a little bit more of that orange color, and turmeric is good for you. But yeah, it's important to understand the healthcare system, and I'm telling you, the physicians are amazing. Nobody that I know, who's been to see a doctor had anything negative to say, okay? And the other thing that I heard, I hate to tell you that I haven't been to a doctor since I've been here. You know, I'm a nurse practitioner. I don't get sick, thank God. And if I did, you know, I know what to do. But, what is it again I was going to say? This sister, she had a clinic that she used to go to. Oh my gosh, she loved the doctor, and he's so caring, like all of them are, right? And she said, like, one thing that people will tell you, the first visit you have with the doctor, he'll spend an hour and a half going over your medication, your history and physical, and most of the time take you off a lot of medicine that you don't. No, original, I'm not in practice, you're so funny. And she said, you know, it would be like $45 a visit, and it was like, oh, this is great. Now, she said last time she went, it jumped to like 70 or 80. So they're seeing so many of us come, and all of us who are older have something going on, right? So it's supply and demand. So they are increasing the cost of the visit. And again, I can't blame them. If I was in business and I see that I'm providing a product or service and there's so many people who want it, I would increase the price too. That's just plain business, okay? So, and then you have the gringo pricing. There are some places that have a price for their residents and a price for you. So what are you going to say about that? You are a gringo. And remember, gringo used to mean people with a certain shade of color. Now gringo just means foreigner. Yes. Yeah. So don't come in here with stars in your eyes. we have a sister who was here, and she had multiple pre-existing conditions. She was older, and she was having a time. She couldn't find insurance coverage. She went back. Oh, this is the story I was telling you. This lady who's Panamanian, I'm putting the regular potatoes in. She said, all of you, I think it's great that you want to age in Panama, but she said, we, in our culture, we have family that takes care of our loved ones. But you don't have that. And if you get sick and you get to a point where you can't take care of yourself, she said, you're going to end up going back home. Listen, that's what I'm fighting. I'm fighting the fact that I don't want to have to go home. So this is what SWRA is about. We're trying to say, okay, can we find a plan that can help us? But we got to get away from the mindset that says everything. I mean, I know in the last few decades, we have gotten used to the idea that insurances don't pay for everything, right? Right? So the money you've been saving through all your hard work for decades, this is when you're going to spend it. You're going to spend it hiring people to come into your home to take care of you. Okay? Because I don't know about you, I don't want to end up in one of those facilities. And that is what's looking at us, those of us who are older, if we get to a point. We have a couple of people here who ended up in facilities, right? But you're in facilities, the people are nice, but they don't speak your language, right? They may not cook food that you're familiar with, but you know, you're in Panama, so hopefully you've gotten used to the food. But it's not the same thing. And I know a sister who's got a caregiver, a loved one in there, and he doesn't want to stay. People don't want to be in facilities. This is a last resort for most people. This is not what we plan our later years to be like. All right, come on. I think I put too much liquid in this thing here. But and we're going to have to put some acid in here. It's got a nice brothy flavor. So I put the regular potatoes, I put the sweet potatoes. So now we have to get the flavors to coexist. We haven't put our back in. We will in a second. As soon as I get the taste to where I want. I think my broth is a bit too liquidy. Always have cornstarch to the rescue. I'm going to take this pepper out before it opens up and gets everything, hot. Oh no, here. We have our beautiful lime. Remember, you're in the Caribbean, in the Americas, so it's lime. Lemon is a once in a while, once in a blue moon, you could find lemon in one of those stores. Not all the time. All right? All right. We're putting some lime juice. Yes. And our spinach is nice and clean. All right. Whew. But it's not hot at all. It doesn't have, it's not hot. Ooh, lots of broth. Oh, you see, that acid just brought it to the table. That's what fish soup does for you. Give you all that foam that I don't like. All right. We're getting there. I have a friend picking me up at 12:30, so I better hurry up. All right. Let us see. What else can I put in here? Not curry powder. Not today. Little cumin. See. Curcuma. Black pepper. Oh, this one is done. Oh, herbe de Provence. That's good. That would be a good one to put it there. A little herbe de Provence. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. This my friend brought it for me. And I have another one coming in June. She said, I'm bringing you your herbe de Provence. I'm like, oh, so excited. All right, I think what I want to do right now is just put a little cornstarch and add the fish, and then we're done. When I tell you sometimes we struggle finding things, I have been looking for cornstarch for the last 3 weeks. Every store I went to, I can't find it. So I bought this here, and I'm empty bowl and basket. The store that I went to where I saw it, I got it. I haven't seen it again. Whew. I'm telling you. Remember, cornstarch doesn't have any taste. All right, it just gives you a little bit of thickening. It's a thickener. I remember when I was in school, they said egg yolks are a thickener. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, so we're gonna put our fish back in. That is a big pot. Oh my goodness. Oh yes. Wow. Okay. Put a little soy sauce. Un poquitito. Not a lot. I need a little heat, so I'm putting a little sriracha. Just for me. You don't have to do that yourself. So I'm gonna be, and we're going to a Peruvian restaurant for lunch. So I'm gonna have my soup here, and that's what I'm gonna eat for the next few days. Look at that. Okay. So I know that my carrots are cooked. I know that my potatoes, just about done. My sweet potatoes, remember, we don't want anything to be overcooked. Where's the sweet potatoes? Oh, this is a little one. Oh yeah, they're cooked. All right, now the spinach goes in, because the spinach you put at the end. You don't have to put spinach in a fish soup, but I like spinach. And I need green. And since I couldn't get the peppers, so I'm like, it's better to just add the spinach. It's a $1 for the pack. And I'm getting all the benefits of it. Oh yeah. Why not? Ooh-wee. Oh my God, it's brothy. That little kick that I put in there. Perfecto. Just a little bit of salt. I think it could use a little bit more acid for my taste. Now, if you like, some sour bread, sourdough toast, you could add. You could do like a little not cream cheese sandwich. You could do that. I have done that with other soups, but not today. We're not doing that today. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more acid, just need a little bit more stabilization. Remember that lemon and limes are good for you. It's cleansing. You add it to anything you want. I love putting it in my water, in my tea. Yes. Yep, I am boycotting all the grains for a while. So I don't want any bread, nothing with wheat. I think I'm a little bit sensitive in my older years, which makes no sense. All right. Oh yeah, we got it. You know, people don't eat a lot of hot sauce here, but they have a hot sauce in a bottle that would be at most restaurant, at every table, that you can add to your food. I'm like, no, I don't want that. All right. Okay. I'm keeping the broccoli. I'm adding a little bit of that butter, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And see what I did. Usually I chop the spinach. This time I left the leaves whole, so they're taking a longer to cook. Someone asked me if they can find collard greens here. There is a place in Chiriquí that's gonna ship it to you. You pay shipping and it comes to your building. If you ask me afterwards, I haven't ordered from them because I'm not really into collard greens like that. But if you want it, I will give you. This sister gave me the name because she needed some. She was looking for collard green to cook with her. What is it? Did she have? She had some turkey wings. Yes, you can find turkey wing. There's a place in Costa del Este that is called Casa de Jamón, like ham house. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. What does the sweet potato do for the soup? Good question. I just needed something, some other roots. I put sweet potato, squash in my soup, and yeah, because I want to. It doesn't do anything. It just adds another root vegetable for me to snack on. And remember, soup is what you make it. If you don't like something, you don't have to put it in there. Now, the only soup that, if I make a potato soup, of course, potato leek, I make a potato leek soup. Yeah, no, I don't put any of that in there. But when I'm cooking like soup or I put bones, I put whatever I want in there. And you know what? In my restaurant in Florida, I used to do a chicken rice soup. You might say the same thing about rice, right? But no, you can put whatever you want in your soup. No limitations. All right. This is a very brothy soup. This is something you would give to someone who has a cold, right? To warm them up. We do sancocho. Sancocho is only 3 or 4 ingredients. This is not the kind of soup. And again, you could have had this soup white with cream, or you could have had it with tomato paste. I could have put some marinara in it. Yeah. Oh, you found collard. Yes, it's not something that the average farm grows, but apparently there is one farm that grows collard greens. And You know, some people have to have collard green. I'm not a fan, but I understand. Just like kale, you know, as healthy as I try to be, I don't like kale. You're not gonna see me cook kale. The only way I eat kale is if I put it in a smoothie. But that's just me, right? All right, let's put a bowl of this brothy soup, and I have to get ready for my appointment. Ah, it's a healing soup. All right, I'm gonna turn that off. Gosh, the crab is still foaming. Ooh. Yeah, I think I went over in the broth section, but anyway. So if you're trying to lose weight or whatever, this is a great soup for you to do that because you have plenty of broth and it's going to cleanse your inside and yep. So if you were, you could do just cabbage soup. I've done that in the past to lose weight, but this, and the only good thing, you have some protein, and you can even throw some tofu in here if you're looking for like protein. And sometimes I've even added some green peas. Green peas have a certain amount of protein, and I have some chickpeas I could have thrown in there. You know, for the person who asks what does a sweet potato does, I don't know that it does anything, but I like to add multiple things to my soup. Because for me, soup is just to heal, right? All right, and you're gonna see that the fish has not disappeared in the soup, right? Which is what you want. You don't want your fish to just disappear, okay? I got regular potatoes. Yep, I got the sweet potatoes. I got the carrots and the tomatoes and the crab. Yes. And broth and broth and broth. Let me get some shrimp. Where's the shrimp? I haven't seen the shrimp. Yep, there's one. Now again, my squash did not do such a good job because it wasn't that great. And my soup color is not really what I would have liked, but you do what you have to do. You accept what you can. See, all the good stuff in there. Spinach, carrots, yeah. It's all about health, okay? And here, what I would do to my plate is chop a bit of fresh parsley and just put it on top. And then that would do it. And of course, the parsley does not last long in here either. So if you buy fresh herbs, make sure you're going to use it right away because it is going to die after about 2 days. And then usually I'll put a slice of lemon also in my soup. So if somebody wants to, add a little bit of lemon, it can only enhance the health. Health what? What would I say? Benefit of the soup. All right. So let's see. I'm gonna get another one. That's looking good. Wipe it down. Wipe it down. And then let's put one. Yep. Whew. Yep. This is my soup. Healthy, brothy. This is the soup. Okay, it kind of reminds you of like a Vietnamese soup, except it doesn't have any noodles in it, right? And they use a lot of, what is it? Sprouts, you know, in their soup like that. Now, this is not a favorite. I don't like sprouts. But, all right. Yes, you guys, we're going to be heading out. But this is the soup. If somebody is sick and you want, I would do this instead of chicken, to tell you the truth. If I had somebody sick, I would give them this one instead of chicken soup. But I'm not against chicken soup either. You know, some people get so uptight about things. I am not uptight about things like that. And if you want to squeeze some more lemon, go at it. Lemon is good for you. Lemon, lime. All right. All right, guys, thank you. I know it sounded a little bit, it took a little bit longer, but we had a nice chat also. And I gave you information about healthcare, which is something I talk about so much, but I keep saying, you know, people still have misconception about healthcare. So when you think about where you're going to go, think about it. Because if healthcare is important to you, like this lady the other day, she said, talk about your 5 must-haves. And I think they're like for most people, you know, healthcare if you're older, safety, safe government, yes, right? Maybe clima might be something, you know, temperature may not be so important, but some people come here and they're like, I can't do the heat. So Panama City is a no for them. They have to go to the mountain. That's great, right? But I said, if you're an older person and you want to go in the mountain, in those areas, what about healthcare? Have you thought about that? So, and then when you have your 5 must-have, you got to put them in ranking. Which is the most important to you? Is it safety or is it healthcare? Depends on your health, right? Accessibility. How do you get around? There are some places here in Panama, if you get sick, somebody has to put you in a car. You have to call an Uber. There's no emergency 911 services. You got to think about that, sis, okay? I know we all want to live abroad, but it needs to make sense for you. My situation is not your situation. Your money, right? The language. I have a student here. She's so dedicated to learn, and I'm so proud of her because she is doing the thing. You know, all my students, the ones who stay, a lot of them don't stay because they think it's too hard. But, which is okay. It's not for everybody. But have you thought about it? How do you get around? How do you get yourself out of a jam? As of an emergency, like when I got robbed, or you got robbed, or you in a hospital setting. The doctor may speak English, but the rest of the staff don't. How do you tell them you need to go to the bathroom? How do you say you need some help? Listen, let's not glamorize moving abroad, okay? And like the sister said, you all love Panama. We think it's great, but when you get really sick, what's gonna happen? And you know, if you're in your 60s, 70s, you gotta think about those things. You don't have decades to think about it. You don't. Because it can happen at any moment. So what are you gonna do? What's your plan? Do you have a plan B? Who do you know? You go around and have fun with these people, but are they gonna be standing in the gap for you when you need some help? Think about that. You get to be a certain age, relationships should make sense for you. The people you hang around, the people you're gonna say, oh, my ride or die. Find yourself somebody that, if you're in a bind, can you call that person at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I need some help, can you come over? Will they come? And I'm thinking here, do I call an Uber at 2 a.m.? I'd be a little concerned. As a single person getting in somebody's car at 2 a.m. That's what you're dealing with here, sis. Moving abroad is great, but the little ramifications, do we really think about them? We are all in this apartment, these high rises. Yes, we get 24-hour security. Yes, Nobody comes to my door unless I know you coming. And if you knock my door, I don't know you coming. I don't even go to the door. That's great. But if something happens to you inside that apartment, you have to be okay with the fact that you could die in here and no one will find you till days later. Are you okay with that? I am. It doesn't matter. We don't have little emergency buttons. We don't have those here. Nope. And we have sister circles. We talk to each other once a day. That doesn't cut it. I could talk to you and say, hi, I'm good. How you doing, everybody? And then I turn around and fall over and hit my head and I'm on the floor for like days. Maybe the next day, if I don't get into the chat, somebody will come. Well, I would be dead. Are you okay with that? That is a reality. It's also a reality over there. I have patients who they found at home. So it's not just because you're here. It's a matter of the fact that you're living alone. Maybe it's another plug for co-living or co-housing that we're talking about lately. Listen, all we can do is the best that we can, and we cannot prevent or address all eventualities. The fact that you are older and you're living by yourself puts you at risk of dying alone. Wrap your brain around that. And if that's a problem for you, that is so, then you got to think of another way. Maybe you want to live with your kids, but even if you live with your kids, they go to work. You're going to be home alone. And even in a facility, I had a patient in the hospital. They hired a sitter to sit with that patient overnight. I come in the morning, the patient had been dead for hours. The sitter was in the recliner. Patient was dead. She was hired to watch that patient. Listen, you got to become comfortable with death in your mind. In your mind. Don't trip that it can happen to you. Nobody knows how it's going to happen. My mother always said, you know how you came into this world, you don't know how you're going to go. Just think of the eventuality and say, oh, yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. And sometimes the way it happens to you is not even the way you thought. All right? All right, guys, I got another soapbox. I have 10 minutes to get ready. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging with me and listening to me. And we're going to have some soup. Not this one. I'm going to take a picture and I'll see you next week. Okay, over. Bye.